What's up, everyone? If you watch my show, you probably know that I like classic books. Today I'm offering up my top 5 classics, my absolute favorites, in less than 5 minutes. Let's go. Number 1, The Time Machine. The Time Machine is a classic science fiction book by H.G. Wells, published in 1895. The novel is generally credited with popularizing the idea of using a vehicle or device to travel forward or backward in time. In this great classic, an engineer travels through time and tells a group of his fellows about his adventures. When I picked this up, I thought it might be a little slow, but worth it? Wrong. This is a delightful and imaginative tale that is a journey for the reader as much as it is the time traveler. Wells was a bit of a visionary, and he tried to imagine what human progress would be like over vast periods of time, and I was really surprised with what he came up with. This novel is inventive and pioneering, and it was a lot of fun for me. Classic book recommendation number 2, A Study in Scarlet. A Study in Scarlet is an 1887 crime fiction detective novel by Arthur Conan Doyle. This novel introduces both Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, a couple who would become the most famous detective duo in crime fiction history. This one is about a seemingly impossible to solve murder and the Sherlock Holmes investigation that follows. I read this not long ago, and not long after that, I read the second and third installments in the series, The Sign of Four and The Hound of the Baskervilles. I wasn't sure what I would think of Sherlock Holmes. I was a bit skeptical, and that's why I put off reading Arthur Conan Doyle for so many years. However, in retrospect, it's no wonder why Sherlock Holmes is the most celebrated fictional detective of all time. This book was a sheer delight, and just like The Time Traveler was pioneering for classic science fiction, Sherlock Holmes is foundational for modern crime fiction. This is a masterful whodunit with one of the best literary characters ever authored, and Dr. Watson isn't so bad himself. Sherlock Holmes was to detecting as Arthur Conan Doyle was to writing a good mystery. Classic number 3, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. This book was first published in 1843 in London, and it recounts the story of Ebenezer Scrooge, who is visited by the ghost of his former business partner, Jacob Marley, as well as the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and yet to come. This is the Christmas novel, and it can certainly be enjoyed outside of the Christmas season. I was surprised about how joyful I felt when I read it. It's a great story about a man who has a turnaround due to a little proper life perspective. It's also not a big commitment. The average reader could finish it up in just a few hours, and its key messages are as relevant today as they were in the Victorian era. Number 4, A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court. A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court is an 1889 novel by humorist and writer Mark Twain. In the book, a Yankee engineer named Hank Morgan takes a severe blow to the head and is somehow transported in time and space to England during the reign of King Arthur. After some initial confusion and being captured by one of Arthur's knights, Hank realizes that he's in the past, and he uses his knowledge to make people think he's a powerful sorcerer. Arthurian sagas can be interesting because various different authors have borrowed the setting and the characters and wrote their own story with them. This one is a bit of a satire, and I had a lot of laughs when I read it. I found it really hard to predict what was going to happen next, and as I read it, I realized that Mark Twain was a literary genius. Like The Time Machine, time travel is a central theme in this one, and I felt that it was both hilarious and engrossing in equal measure. Number 5, The Fellowship of the Ring. The Fellowship of the Ring is a 1954 publication and the first of 3 parts that make up the epic novel The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien, and it takes place in the fictional universe of Middle-earth. I put this book off for so long because I feared that it might be a little dated and stale. I was surprised. I was totally drawn into this thing, and now it's obvious to me why it's arguably the greatest fictional story ever told. This book had more suspense than I suspected it would, and considering everything, I'm not sure that I can even generate one complaint about it. The characters here will live on for many, many years to come. If you've been putting off reading The Fellowship of the Ring, like I did for so many years, I recommend that you finally commit to reading it as soon as possible. Well, there you have it, guys. My 5 favorite classic books. Let me know down in the comments which classics are among your favorites. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.